The following program is presented by the Metropolitan Library Service Agency.
Hello, welcome to All About Kids, a program focusing on the interests of children and young people and some of the issues affecting them. Increasing attention is being paid to the importance of before and after school programs for school-aged children whose parents work outside the home. Today's guests are experts in the field of school-aged childcare. Catherine Cuddeback is with the State Department of Education, and Roz Anderson directs the Adventure Club in Robbinsdale. The Minnesota Department of Education has taken a real leadership role in developing child care programs to meet the needs of school-aged children whose parents work. Catherine, could you describe how the Department of Ed got into the business of child care and some of the programs that you're involved in?
Certainly. About 3 years ago, there was federal funding available for any state in the country that wanted to apply for non-competitive grants. This is through a community development block grant program, and the state of Minnesota applied for this funding. 60% of the funding has gone to support the development, improvement, and expansion of school-age child care programs in the state of Minnesota. 40% has gone to provide resource and referral networking opportunities on a statewide basis for the child care industry in general. For 3 years, the Department of Education has provided technical assistance for school districts and community agencies that want to start school-age childcare or extended day programs throughout the state. The Department of Education has surveyed the programs that have been operating throughout the state, has assessed and identified what the needs are throughout the state, has developed a resource manual, and has provided a lot of technical assistance workshops, both on a statewide level and more on a regional and localized level throughout the last 3 years.
Well, it's an exciting concept which just hasn't been available until real recently. Are there gaps in the program? If so, how are you planning to fill them?
Certainly there are gaps in the program. The school-age child care extended day program or industry in the state of Minnesota is a program for families who have school-aged children and are parents of school-aged children and need to work. And extended day programs have been developed before and after the school day, the school part of the day, and including vacations and summer programs as well. These programs are, there is not enough of a supply of these programs to meet the need in the state. Some of these programs, primarily through the school districts, have started 12 to 15 years ago. But I would say that the amount of school districts that have been involved in these programs has doubled within the last 2.5 years. So clearly there is a crying need for this kind of programming, and the programming has started to increase and started to meet the demands. But the biggest gap is that there isn't enough of the supply to meet the demand. Another gap is that these programs are primarily parent fee based, and parent fees are supporting the operation of these programs, and parents are increasingly not being able to afford the cost of these programs.
You don't have the sliding fees that are available for parents of children in preschool child care?
Yes. School-age child care programs, parents of school-age children can tap into the state sliding fee subsidies, but clearly there aren't enough fee subsidies to meet all of the
That's
needs.
an exciting program that the state of Minnesota has, but it's quite oversubscribed, and I know that in our program last year, 75 of the 75 eligible families, 50 were on the waiting list for state sliding fee funds. So we still have a ways to go to generate.
So one of the big problems
enough.
then would be parents who really want a productive and fun experience for their children after school often can't afford it, so the
That's
children
right.
end up
Yes.
going home to an empty house, having the the fear and the loneliness, having nothing but television or Nintendo.
And so I think those are two of the most critical ones, are the families can't always afford it, or that the resource simply isn't there. I think you were saying earlier that of the 480 school districts in the state, only 80 have really begun to,
mostly in the metro area,
began
or
to
is it a
develop.
combination?
Well, I think they're throughout the state.
Yeah, there are about 433 school districts, and 85 school districts right now are involved in these programs. About half of those programs are in the metro, 7-county metro area.
But even in each metro school district, the organized program is only serving a small percent of the population that's eligible.
Yes, Robbinsdale is a good example. You're serving 10%.
10% of the population, and we know that 70% of families are in the labor force, and in the metro area even a higher percentage. So we know that there are a lot of families that either geographically we don't have the program close enough to their home, or they can't afford the program.
Well, Roz, what goes on at the Adventure Club? What do children do when they come at 6:30 and they're there till school starts, and then they go to school and they come back and they're there till 6 o'clock? That's a longer work day than I have.
It is a busy day, and so I think that, first of all, very few children are, although our program is available from 6:30 in the morning until 6 daily throughout the year, very few children arrive at, I mean, I don't think there are any that really come at 6:30 and leave at 6. I think most parents are very sensitive to coordinating their work schedules to effectively meet their child's needs. And so those that come really early in the morning, usually their parents are there to pick them up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Those that come later on are the ones that stay later on in the day. So, but just to give you a quick idea of what kinds of things go on, generally the before school program is a more low-keyed program, but a wide range of choices for kids, because everybody has a different sense about what they need to be doing at that time of the morning. You know, there are some people who are out to the gyms or the recreation centers because they choose to. They've got high level of energy in the morning, and so we make available gym and a variety of physical activities for those kids who really want to do that. Some kids are sitting in a quiet area on a comfortable couch, reading a book or doing homework, or just chatting with a friend, doing a wide range of table games. We have an arts and crafts room. We have various rooms that have a wide range of activity, building materials and arts and crafts and dramatic play, a wide range of choices for kids to make from. We also have a computer room and places where they can work on typewriters and technical machines and a really fine arts and crafts area that always has a wide range of activities in. Also, the program serves breakfast, and that's, of course, a very important part of the before school time for children, and that's provided by a food service staff person from our school district, and she also even encourages parents to join their kids. For a very nominal fee, mom or dad can come in and have a piece of toast or the full breakfast with their child and watch what's going on in the morning and have probably a little more smooth transition than if you have to do it at home sometimes.
And no dirty dishes to come home to in the evening.
Right, and you don't have to worry about how much time your child spends at the breakfast table, because you can make your leave when you're ready to go, and your child can still sit there and enjoy what's going on around them or their cereal for a longer period of time. So,
well, what about after school? Is there time for the child who'd like to work on homework or even a little assistance with that? Is there time for reading? As a librarian, I'm real interested in that question.
Well, primarily the afternoon time has a broader range of activities and probably a little bit higher level of activity that are made for available to kids. Probably our major concern is that children have choices. This is a really critical part of their development, is that now they need to have more input in how they spend their leisure time. So they need to make choices that are worthwhile to them and that they feel they have a responsibility for.
I was real interested when you were talking before about the need for children to develop friendships too, and have the chance to experience some of the things that are a traditional part of childhood, belonging to a scout group or having some music lessons or things like that.
And I think there has to be a balance. I think that there has to be good opportunities for kids to interact with each other. Some that are quite casual, so that those two kids who want to just sit and play a game together, those two kids who want to sit on the couch and talk about how their day was, they have the opportunity to do that. But also the more formal structures, like you were mentioning, we make available several of the campfire programs, Girl Scouting programs, and a wide range of 4-H programs that kids can participate, they belong in, and they attend with that group on a weekly basis. They also can take lessons, like karate lessons, swimming lessons, arts and crafts, computer, a wide range of activities that they can select. One of the favorite ones is cooking. Everybody really enjoys that. It's a very creative activity, and I think kids feel a lot of production from doing it, and it's something that they can go home and do and just really enjoy.
It's such a boon, because traditionally children of working parents were really isolated from a lot of those activities because parents simply can't do it after work or on weekends.
And I think that's why we have to look for ways we can bring the activities to central locations for children where they have easy access after school, and that's one of the unique things and marvelous things in our school district, is that transportation has been provided to a central site so that many of these activities can go on and kids can participate in them. And you mentioned about reading. As I mentioned, we really encourage choices for children, and since they've had such a highly productive day in terms of maybe a little bit more direction, and for some children they really choose to spend their time doing homework, and they do have some quiet space to do that. Some choose to lose themselves in a book, and but you tend to see a much higher level of active participation in things. You see a lot of high energy, a lot of outdoor play, many activities that go on in the gymnasium, and the more high activity. And I think that's because kids probably have been a little bit more sedentary during their day, and
during the summer you probably have time to develop some of those other varieties, field trips and things that you wouldn't be able to do during the working day. Catherine, what kind of supports does the state offer to programs like the Adventure Club? Do you participate in the in-service training of staff? Now you've got your guide for school-age child care programs.
Yeah, on a state level, we are right now trying to coordinate in-service training opportunities. We are trying to identify programs that are operating and staff that are providing programs throughout the state. We are trying to coordinate the development of a networking opportunity through a publication with the Minnesota School-Age Child Care Alliance, which is a newly formed alliance in conjunction with or as a chapter of the Minnesota Association for the Education of Young Children. At this point, at the department level, we are coordinating with providers such as Roz Anderson, who are really experts in the field, and in some cases, as the Adventure Club is a national model. And we are one of the best or most enjoyable parts of my job is identifying the resources around the state and being able to pull these programs and people together as an avenue of helping programs start and getting off the ground. Clearly, we were speaking about gaps before. One of the gaps in the state right now is, as quickly as we are developing programs, we are not able to meet the demands for appropriate staff training. This is the next wave. We really do need to tackle this challenge.
I think the education of with public or perhaps people who no longer have a need for this kind of a service for their children is really important. It's not babysitting. You have to have some real strong qualifications to be involved in a program like this. When you hire your staff, what are some of the things that you're looking for? What are some of the licensing requirements?
I think one of the areas, there are several different levels of people that we're looking for. One is a more well-trained person in child development, early childhood education, a person who can help lead and direct other staff members as well as plan appropriate curriculum and activities for children. So we tend to encourage and hire people who have education degrees in early childhood education, early elementary education. Then we also are looking for some people who really enjoy being with children and have had some formal training. Maybe they've taken a couple classes in child development and really enjoy being creative and making a wide range of activities available to children. And then the third group of people that we really try to encourage are what we call recreation leaders, and they're people who generally have a career interest in working with children. They're often college students, and they have a high energy level and a lot of enthusiasm, and they're just marvelous to work with young children.
Well, during the school year, they have this block of time in the morning, and they have a block of after-school time. What do they do in the middle?
Well, I think most programs tend to have different staffs because there are very few people who have a high energy level to work with children from 6:30 till 9:30 in the morning, as well as from 3 to 6 in the afternoon. So we tend to have different staffs, different people who are available at those odd hours. And so that's, I think, what a good portion of programs do. But some programs do to make available a full-time job for people. Sometimes they do work at both ends of the day. It is a challenge.
I'm sure. A lot of community agencies, I'm sure, are supporting your programs in different ways. I know a little bit about what some libraries are doing. For instance, children in your program in Robbinsdale go to either the Golden Valley Library or to the Rockford Road Library, get cards, participate in the summer programs just the way children who are at home with their parents do, have a chance to check out books. What else could libraries be doing for you, and what other kinds of things could other community agencies do that would make this a more rich experience for the children?
I think some of the things that you're doing are very exciting to encourage and to make it possible for kids who are involved in programs like this to come visit the library, to become educated how to use the library effectively, and the joy of reading. And I think you can help continue to put on workshops and in-service staff on how to perpetuate that enthusiasm for reading for kids. It starts with helping get them the library card and making regular visits to the library, but also staff can be trained to read books in an enthusiastic, exciting manner, to suggest and also to help kids become better researchers, because we know that this generation will certainly need to have a much more sophisticated style of research and problem solving. And I think that libraries can really help kids do that. When they in the summertime particularly, they can do more long-term projects and investigation, and the libraries can help them do that, I think.
Just in an informal and a fun way, not in a necessarily school level.
And they're hungry for learning and information, but it has to be important to them. And I think those are the kinds of things they can do. And
an important piece of school-age childcare or extended day programming excuse me, is the opportunity to network within the community and to have a lot of different agencies work together and have the children be able to tap into a lot of resources in the community and become aware of the resources. And I noticed as we came here today that there was a poster advertising the fact that on a school closed or school release day, you had a school-age film being shown during the day. And I know that a lot of extended day programs will use the libraries as resources on those full days that school is closed, and it's a real valuable opportunity.
It's something we're real glad to do. Our only limitation is the size of the meeting room.
Yes.
And the energy of the staff, and that's usually pretty high.
I know a lot of the extended day programs in the metro area tap into a lot of your summer enrichment programs, a lot of your readathons and things like that. We've heard a lot of good things about that.
I think it's such a critical component to introduce, particularly in the summertime, so that kids can get used to building in as part of their lifestyle the enjoyment of reading and the enjoyment of taking time to have a quiet time to enjoy.
Sure, and just become library users, and that's just one example of how this can make something that's a part of life really accessible to a child in a daycare situation.
And I think that's probably one of the keys for programming for elementary children, is that's such a critical part of their development, is to explore a wide range of community resources and to use them learn to use them responsibly. So the libraries, the YMCA, the public park system has been a very exciting resource for programs like ours. The
Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Boys
It's an
and Girls
expansion of
Clubs.
horizons that really maybe a lot of children didn't have access to even when they were home with a parent.
Yes.
Well, what can we, the public, do to continue to support the program on a state level? Will the funding be continued? Is there
On a federal level, we don't know if the funding will be continued. On the state level, we're looking at the possibility of funding through in the Governor's Children's Initiatives bill. Right now, there is a proposal for $1.5 million to be allocated on a grant RFP process to agencies, nonprofit agencies, and or school districts that are interested in starting expanding or improving school-age child care programs. I think the best thing that we can do is to continue to make the public aware as to what these programs are and why they're needed.
And how critical they are to children's development. That I think we know more and more that kids really need to have productive activities that they're doing in their after-school hours. For most children, they spend more time, children of working parents, they may spend more time in programs like that, like this, than they do during their public school day.
Oftentimes, this program is referred to as half a childhood. It really is.
Obviously, I was very concerned several years ago when Diane Hedin at the University of Minnesota published her report on the after-school interests of children, and found, much to her astonishment, I think, that the majority of children were home alone and had very few interests. They weren't reading, they were mainly watching television. Children couldn't even remember what they'd watched on television. I think her report conveys a real sense of the isolation and the loneliness, and just, as you say, the lack of productive use of childhood, active childhood.
So I think that's one of the things we really have to be concerned about and encourage the public, that it's really in their best interest to help children develop to their fullest and to make resources available to them. And of course, to make more resources available to the low-income family. They are the ones who are really left out. I would say that the majority of our programs are being used by families who can
when you mentioned earlier the fact that most parents could adjust their schedules, it occurred to me that some people are in jobs where there is no adjustment of schedule.
That's right.
Well, we've just got a bit of time left. Do you have a number that you'd like to leave if parents or people in the community want more information about school-age childcare or about the Adventure Club?
Yes, certainly at the Department of Education, I can be contacted at 296-1436.
Another one that's sometimes helpful for people to know is the information and referral line that can give information to families about licensed programs in Hennepin County. And for those that are in the north side of Hennepin County, that phone number is 823-7237. And on the south side, it's 823-5261.
Thank you both for joining us today. It was a fascinating discussion on a crucial issue.
Thank you.
We'll have you back again.
Thank you.
The Facts and Fictions of Minna Pratt by Patricia MacLachlin. Facts and fictions are different truths, reads the taped, typewritten message above Mrs. Pratt's typewriter. Minna ponders this statement as she tries to sort out her life and her loving, eccentric family. Minna is an 11-year-old cellist who yearns for a vibrato. Her mother is a writer of children's books, a staunch avoider of housework, and one who would rather ask, "Did you ever think of love?" rather than, "How was your day?" Her father is a psychologist, totally and completely in love with his wife. Her brother, McGrew, is 10 years old and hums newspaper headlines and sings the answers to the questions his teachers ask at school. Enter Lucas Ellerby into Minna's musical lessons and into her life. Lucas has a vibrato, a wonderful smile, and a calm, organized family life. His family has quiet conversations over gourmet meals while wearing matched socks. When their musical teacher enters the class into a competition and Minna still hasn't found her vibrato, she turns to both Lucas and Mozart for help. She writes, "Dear Wolfgang, no offense, Wolfgang, but since you are a violinist as well as a pianist, I'm sure you had to worry about your vibrato. Please help me find mine. It does concern your music after all. Kershaw 157, if it makes a difference. You know that hard part. You wrote it. Please help me, Minna Pratt. P.S. I already tried God." McLaughlin has written a book much different in style than her Newbery Award winner, Sarah Plain and Tall. Her characters are unique, vivid, and unforgettable. The dialogue in the book is realistic and comfortable. This is a great book for children in grades 4 to 7 who like warm, humorous stories about everyday people.
The Facts and Fictions of Minna Pratt by Patricia MacLachlin, reviewed by Wendy Woodfill, Children's Services Librarian at the Minnetonka Community Library. Thanks for joining us on All About Kids. Please tune in again.
This has been a presentation of Hennepin County Library in conjunction with the Twin Cities Metropolitan Library Service Agency. We thank you for watching, and we hope you visit your public library often.